Hello, this the Lightning Net build. I'm recording this a little bit, after post, right? So I might say some stuff that I already said later on, but yeah, this build started out as a meme build, and through a lot of testing, last season, I figured it wasn't that best to start with, right? It was between this and Lightning Meteor, so. Yeah, it started as a meme build. It scales really nicely in a way, but it's definitely not a starter character. So don't it's gear heavy, just like how a lot of synchronized strike builds are, just in general. Just to make it smooth, not gear heavy as in like you need like 2 LP red rings. No, no. It's just some synchronized strike mana reduction and all that stuff. You need a mana reduction on rings, and yeah, you need decent amount of flat damage because net don't have that much. But hopefully, I'm not repeating everything I just said. I already forgot. But yeah, I'll just let the video play now. I'll see you guys. Hello, so this is the Lightning Net Blade Dancer that I've been kind of working on and kind of teasing a little bit, not really, but last season it was between this build or the Lightning Meteor build, and I chose to do Lightning Meteor last season, and through a lot of testing, this build isn't really that great to like start out with, cause well, I guess that's kind of most synchronized strike builds, is that it takes a lot of util to make it feel smooth. So this character still isn't even that fleshed out. Like, I don't even have that much stuff rolled. I want to get this video out there because probably probably won't be playing that much for a bit here. Maybe farming a little bit here and there, but you know, just haven't really been had the time to play. So yeah, this is essentially it. It's a low life using Astral Blood, last episode of Living. You don't really need the 15% health loss no more, but I was using it because I had extinguishness at the time. So it's you know this Astral Blood's pretty strong. So I think the ward, you don't have to worry too much about it, like how you did last season, where a bunch of stuff, right? And then Rainbow's Edge, cause Rainbow Edge give us crit multi and shock, and our damage is scaling off mainly shock right now, uh, shock chance, right? And net itself have a very low damage. I think it's 2, with only 100% damage effectiveness. So scaling your flat damage is gonna be really nice. So your flat throwings. I don't have flat throwing on here, but you could get flat throwing on the belt too. Getting flat throwing on your gloves, like I think it's gonna be a T7 flat throwing once I get better gloves. Just scaling your flat damage will help overall. Um, yeah, you essentially will be using smoke bomb as your traversal, and not only is it a traversal, but lowering the cooldown to 5 seconds allow you to pretty much have it up 24/7. And the reason why that's very important, especially in like bossing, is the stacks of smoke blade will give you a lot of flat damage. I think we're getting around, since we're around 4 stacks, there's around 80 flat damage, so just really strong to keep it up 24/7. And then obviously we're spamming sync strike, your typical sync strike setup. So just shadows, whatnot, right? Your typical setup. You do want sync strike mana on your helmet, and like sync strike mana taking up 4 slots. I think it's the huge idols. I'm pretty sure the huge idols coming down each column here. It'll help make it feel a little bit smoother. And then for mana, we are using puncture with the mana on hit, so you'll be directly casting. It'll also help getting rapid strikes, because like every few seconds you get rapid strike up. That'd be 4 strikes. So let's say you're spamming, you see that up, you just might as well pop it, right? It's gonna come back up again. There you go, and you just pop it. And then it also helps to grab sapping strike, which is 8 mana, so that's good too. For Blade Dancer, I don't have all the points, obviously. I'm level 83. But for the Blade Dancer tree, it's essentially just taking your attack, your damage, plus 5 movement speed. We're going full glancing blow conversion. You should be really high on glancing blow, just in general, especially during bosses, which is probably where you're gonna need glancing blow the most. Just through just through your smoke bomb. Should be at 100 for like 90% of a boss fight. Maybe if there's like some mechanic you have to dodge and you have to move out, obviously. We're just coming down here, just taking some more damage, grabbing your damage with haste. The points, eventually you want the points into here. I don't have those yet, but yeah, that's essentially it. Glancing blow here, attack speed, damage, just more damage. And then of course the attack speed from dual wielding is nice too. I'm glad they kind of gave you a little bit of a like they gave you a trade-off, but without the trade-off portion, right? You just take more damage. But yeah, that's nice. And then maximum shadows, so you got 5 up. Yeah, that's essentially the build. I'll get into the endgame planner here in a second. Yeah, I'll get into the endgame planner. Okay, here we are in the endgame planner, and just your typical stuff here. We're gonna be running crit avoidance as our main way of reducing crits, right? Of course, Peak of the Mountain will severely help us cap out our crit, especially for throwing. This is your typical throwing setup also. So Lyraka's Claws, Astral Blood for low life, Last Episode of Living. Get the +4 to throwing. It's not necessary to get the +4. It's just nice to get it. But essentially, you're going to need some points. There's a little bit of defense here. Yeah, it's very standard, Of course, you need the -5 mana cost, because if you don't have that, it's going to be 16 per throw, and that's a lot of mana. So we're already having issues with mana, so try to get those two. Even if it's not Oceron, just try to get those, even if Exalted, T7. I ran like double T6 for a while before I got the double T7 Ocerons. And Oceron, we're running Oceron because the 40% shock chance, the 1% more damage per sock does not stack. So it's going to be capped at 10 no matter what. So just because you have 2 rings, that does not make it 20. I think. I think through some testing, I think that's how that works. Because you don't get more than 10 stacks anyways. So you got the shock chance, which is 40 multiplicative, and then the less damage from chilled. That's just really nice too. You got Trader's Tongue to cap out your crit. It also gives you +2 to deck skills, um, which is really good. Yeah, we're running shock because you could get a lot of shock with the T7. We're trying to run some armor shred. You don't armor shred's probably the least needed thing here for now, but armor shred is really nice once you get higher up in corruption. It helps with bosses. You could get lightning pin, but I don't really think lightning pin's worth it with all the multiplicative we have. Like I said, this build has no issues with getting multiplicative damage. It's mainly about stacking additive damage if you can. Speaking of additive damage, instead of the +4 to net, if you don't have one or you don't need it, another trade-off you could do is just a flat throwing damage, which is really strong. We're getting flat throwing damage from belts. Flat throwing will always be stronger than increase, I'm pretty sure, for this build, just because you do need it to have a bigger multiplier. Yeah, that's essentially it. Running on synchronized strike, mana efficiency here. Try to lower that as much as possible. You take whichever blessings you need, right? Armor is really nice. I mean, obviously we don't have that much armor, so if you need reses, just get your reses, right? Health, more health we have, the more award we have. Yeah, but essentially the only thing I might change is having this be a T7 throwing, and shoot, maybe even change out the health loss per second. I didn't realize how strong this was until I got one and replaced my Exanguish. So yeah, but yeah, this has been a long time coming for a build, and I think I'm gonna be taking a small break just from gaming in general. I just haven't been feeling like playing, haven't had the time either. Another thing I want to say is best in slot is still Nihilus, but farming a decent Nihilus is really annoying. But if you ever get a really good 1 LP Nihilus, just slot that in. It's just way better overall. Yeah. That's been Lightning Net. I see you guys whenever I see you guys.